Hey, welcome back everybody to my latest YouTube video. As always, it's Tuesday night, so you guys know what I'm going to be doing for my returning listeners. I'm going to be giving you guys my top waiver wire ads of the week, as well as giving you guys my top streamable defenses for week 5. We're already past the quarter way of the season, I guess, kind of. Usually after 4 weeks was the quarter point, but now we got the 17 game schedule, so what do you normally count? I don't know. When I get through the first 4 weeks of the season, I feel like we kind of see what these teams are going to be. Some of them are a work in progress, especially my favorite team, the Colts. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in to today's videos. And in case we have any first-time listeners, or if I need to give anybody a refresher, what I do for the waiver wire section, I'm about to give you guys my top quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end ad of the week. Again, these are players that have to have at least 50% availability on rosters on Yahoo. So I do try to challenge myself, like I say every week, to find some potential names that you might not be hearing on other videos or articles that you're reading as you guys put your waiver claims ahead of tomorrow. Go ahead and dive into this. My top quarterback out of the week, I am going to go with the young kid, the MILF Hunter, if you will, Zach Wilson. He's available in 90% of the leagues right now. He made his return, his season debut from his injury. Now, his stat line wasn't, the greatest, but you also got to keep in mind he was playing the Steelers defense, which is traditionally always one of the best defenses in the league. And he had 252 yards, a touchdown. He had the 2 interceptions, but as I always reiterate with these guys that do turn the ball over, a Jameis Winston, a Carson Wentz, is interceptions and turnovers don't really hurt quarterbacks in fantasy football. So sometimes you can kind of overlook that part when you're looking for a fantasy quarterback. Now, what I do like about Zach is he's very athletic and he can pick up first downs with his legs. Now, he only ran the ball 2 times, but he had 15 yards. I mean, that's 7.5 yards a carry that he did against Pittsburgh. Now, you're not going to get this stat every week, but he also did have a reception touchdown when they ran the little Philly special, and Braxton Berrios connected with him in the end zone last week during their upset win over Pittsburgh. Now, the reason why I think he's a good ad of the week is most of the time, if you guys have been watching my videos over the last couple weeks with these quarterbacks I've been choosing, I was basically choosing a guy you could stream for the week. I'm doing Zach Wilson for not only that reason, but also because he's a young quarterback that's in an offense that has a lot of weapons. He's on a team that more than likely is going to have to play a lot of catch-up ball, so it means plenty of opportunity for him to throw the ball. And if Zach Wilson is truly the quarterback they drafted him to be, you got a potential steal off the waivers at this point of the season for the quarterback position, where you saw some injuries that took away guys like Dak and Trey Lance, and then who knows who may get hurt in the future. Now, looking at the week this week, they're going against the Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins are one of the best teams in the league right now, but when you look at as far as fantasy, they give up 24.5 points per game to quarterbacks this season. That's the second highest average across the NFL. So not only I think Zach's a guy you can pick up the waivers and play as a streaming quarterback this week if that's all you need out of him, but if you're looking for a potential long-term answer and Zach starts to stack these weeks back-to-back together in terms of fantasy performances, he's a guy you might be able to leave in your lineup going forward. My running back out of the week, you guys probably have heard this name quite often and read his name quite often. I'm probably going to completely butcher that last name of his, and I do apologize. Tyler Allgeier, he is now more than likely will be the starting running back for the Falcons. For those that are unaware, Cordero Patterson was placed on IR yesterday. That means he's out for a minimum of 4 games. We don't know when Cordero Patterson will be back. Now, he did split the backfield with Brett Huntley, who is off the practice squad. Now he's on their active roster. But I lean towards going after Tyler Allgeier. I'm going to get that name right eventually once I hear it enough on broadcast. But anyways, he is a rookie running back that they drafted. So they invested a draft pick into him. So they're going to give him every opportunity to be at least the lead back. He's probably going to split reps, but he's going to at least be the lead back in my opinion. And that Falcons offense is running the ball really great right now. Now this past week he had 10 rushes for 84 yards, a touchdown, and he only got 1 target, but he turned that 1 target into 20 yards. So he's a guy that, like I said, that could be a flex, maybe an RB2 if he gets enough volume going forward. Now for me though, if you do get him off the waivers, I wouldn't play him this week. They are playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a very stout running defense. They play the running backs very well in fantasy, and plus, I mean, can't you just kind of see the Bucks taking it to the Falcons, where they're playing from behind, and he gets game scripted out, and the Falcons have to throw the ball a lot. But again, I think he's definitely worth. You should be going to get him off the waivers. I just wouldn't play him this week. Leave him on the bench, and then go forward with him after this week. My wide receiver ad of the week, a guy that was like a fantasy darling back in the preseason, but because of the play of that Pittsburgh passing attack with Mitch Trubisky, he kind of fell off, and he kind of fell off with some rosters, so he might be available in your league. It's George Pickens, the rookie wide receiver for Pittsburgh. He's available in 61% of the leagues right now. This past week, he had 6 receptions for 102 yards on 8 targets, so he's getting to that sweet point of targets that you guys know what I say every week for these wide receivers and tight ends. And when you look at the last 2 games, he's received at least 7 targets. Now, this week, he is going against the Bills. So he's a guy I'm not necessarily going to pick and play in my lineup, kind of how I felt about the running back, right? But what I really like about his situation going forward is Kenny Pickett has taken over as the starting quarterback for Pittsburgh. I think Kenny's going to be at least giving their wide receivers more chances than Mitchell Trubisky. He's not afraid to push the ball down the field if he has to. At least that's how he played back in he was played in Pittsburgh, for those that don't know, in college. But yeah, so going forward, not only I think he's going to see the opportunities. There's proven data over the last 2 weeks. They are looking to get him the ball more often. And then I just think he'll have that rookie connection with Kenny Pickett being from the same class. Can't you see, like, if Kenny Pickett is going to end up being a dude, it's probably because him and Pickens grow this like bond and relationship going forward. So if Pickens is available in your league and you're looking for wide receivers, I would definitely go get him right now. My tight end ad of the week is a guy that was a good, steady fantasy option at the tight end position over the last couple of years. He got hurt last year. He's kind of had I don't know if he's really had a slow start. I just think there's a lot of wide receivers there in Washington. And they do have Carson Wentz, who's a roller coaster of a quarterback. But anyways, it's Logan Thomas. And now, when you look at his past week wasn't like great numbers, right? He had 5 receptions, which is amazing for a tight end, but he only had 19 yards, so not that great. He did get a total of 6 targets. Now, when I look at him for this week, and or looking from the past 2, 3 out of the 4 games, he's received at least 5 targets. But you guys know I'm looking for that 7 to 9, that sweet spot of targets where I can count in a tight end in my lineup every week. But with him getting at least 5+ targets in the 3 to 4 games, and then you look at his matchup this week against the Tennessee Titans, the Titans are allowing 10.3 points per game to tight ends this season. That's the 8th highest mark. So I think he's a good streaming option. Is he going to be your long-term solution at tight end? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're looking for a tight end that you want to put in your lineup and take a chance on the targets and going against a defense that's been allowing points to the position, I think Logan Thomas might be your guy this week. My flex ad of the week, I'm going to show some love to the rookie on the Colts, Alec Pierce. He's available in 95% of the leagues. Now, I'll go ahead and preface this with, I don't think he's a guy that you want to pick up and put into your lineup right away, but he is definitely a guy where I think he's going to start seeing more of a bigger role within the Colts offense. I think he's going to end up being the second second most targets behind Michael Pittman as the season progresses for Indianapolis. Now, this past week, he had 4 receptions for 80 yards on 6 targets. This past 2 games, he's gotten at least 5 targets a game. In my opinion, the eyeball test, he looks great. He's looking better and better. And if that Colts offense can start putting things together and Matt Ryan can start looking Pierce's way, he's a guy that I think can slide into that wide receiver 3 territory, at least by the midpoint of the year. I don't know if he's going to be a guy where you're going to probably play him come playoffs, but I think he's a depth piece for you to have in case emergencies happen, or he just does certainly blow up as the season goes. Or you got to keep in mind too, when you start kind of tweaking your bench here, in I think 2 weeks is when the bye week should be starting. So you have to start prepping for the bye weeks over this next month. And Pierce's might be a nice little option to have for you in case injuries and slash or bye weeks happen. So, anyways, my quarterback out of the week, Zach Wilson. My running back out of the week, Tyler Algier. My wide receiver out of the week, George Pickens. My tight end out of the week is Logan Thomas, and my flex out of the week is Alec Pierce. Moving on to my top streamable defenses, just like the players, these defenses have to be available in 50% of the leagues on Yahoo. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. This first one was definitely pretty easy, but I'm gonna go with the Vikings defense against the Bears. The Bears had probably been one of the least productive offenses across the league. And they're traveling to Minnesota in a divisional matchup. And as you guys have probably heard me say before, Minnesota always typically plays better there in Minneapolis, USA Bank Stadium. I forgot the name of the stadium for a minute. But yeah, they always play well there. And then the Bears offense is just nothing that like scares a team. And then when you look at the Bears, they just lost was it Cody Whitehair, which is one of their better offensive linemen, and their offensive line was already weak, and they just lost their long-term veteran in that unit. So you really like the ability where Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith and everybody else across the defensive line for Minnesota can get after Justin Fields. Justin Fields has struggled with the ball, putting the ball in the air. He's thrown some interceptions this year, so you can see those interception opportunity. And then the Chicago offense just isn't putting up a lot of points, right? So you don't have to worry about them stacking up a lot of points and taking your number down for your defenses this week. So if Minnesota is available in your league, that's the defense I'm trying to get for my lineup this week. Other options though for you, the Dolphins. The Dolphins are available in 78% of the leagues. They are going against the Jets. Now I just talked up Zach Wilson, but I did say though, Zach Wilson does struggle with turnovers so far in his career. So for that reason, I can see Xavier Howard jumping on a ball, maybe getting a pick six. That Jets offensive line, they can definitely give up some sacks. So maybe like one of the guys up front, I was gonna say Emmanuel Ogbah could get some pressure on him. I'm missing the kid's name, the second-year edge rusher that's on that Miami team that can get after the quarterback, and then a guy like Javon Holland. That's in the back end, the safety that not only can play up in the box, but he can play back there and he can create turnovers himself. So this defense does have some pieces, even though they do give up some yardage and potential points. When you look at a young quarterback who's making his second start since his injury, and then you're looking at the turnovers that Zach has had in the past, and that's why I think the Dolphins could be a good streaming defense for you this week. My other one, I'm going to go with the Jaguars against the Texans. The Jaguars are available in 86% of the leagues right now. They are going against, again, kind of what I was saying about the Bears. It's just going against an offense that doesn't really scare, I think, anybody. Yes, Damian Pierce is having a nice rookie season. They always got Brandon Cooks, but Davis Mills just hasn't really looked like he's going to be the answer at the quarterback position. So there's potential for the sacks. The Jaguars got Josh Allen. They got Trayvon Walker up front. They got Devin Lloyd in the middle. The Griffin's brother. I always get those names mixed up. But yeah, they got a good cornerback back there that can make interceptions. Andre Cisco at the safety position. So this is a Jaguars defense that's got some nice pieces across the board, and they're just going against one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And this is in Jacksonville. It's a home game. This could definitely scream a lot of sacks and potential turnovers for you. My number 4 streamable defense. It might be taking a roll of a dice if you take a look at the Lions offense this year, but I'm going with the Patriots against the Detroit Lions. Patriots are available in 61% of the leagues. Now, you kind of get scared because, surprisingly, the Lions are averaging 35 points a game, which is the most in the NFL. But look at last week, Jared Goff. That's why I always point to him. Even though he's, played some good football and put up some points for his team, last week he threw a pick six. He's always good for an interception, or he's good to fumble the ball at some point in the game. So I'm always looking to turn to take a gamble on that. And then yes, I know the Detroit offense has looked amazing in the 4 weeks, but this game is in Foxborough. And I'm sorry, I just have such a hard time imagining Jared Goff going into New England and putting up 35 points on a Bill Belichick defense. Is this the same New England team of the past? Definitely not. But it's still Bill Belichick. Look what he did to Aaron Rodgers in that first half of the game last week. He'll still come up with some scheme. And if I've seen it a million times before, especially as a Colts fan, there's an offense that's high-flying, scoring a lot of points, and then they go face Bill Belichick, and somehow that offense can only manage like 17 points. So for those reasons, that's why if you the other options are taken away from you, you're kind of looking for a defense you could stream. I definitely would I'll roll the dice on the Patriots. Anytime Bill Belichick's running a defense, I'm willing to roll the dice on it. My number 5 streamable defense, I am going to go with the Titans against the Commanders. The Titans are available in 91% of the leagues. This is mainly because they're facing Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is always good for a potential 2 to 3 turnovers on any given Sunday. You look at the Washington offensive line, it's decimated because of injuries right now. So guys like Jeffrey Simmons can get after the quarterback, and everybody can feed off that. Danico Autry can definitely blow up things. I saw that firsthand this past Sunday when the Titans beat up on Indianapolis. But yeah, so they got guys that can get after the quarterback, and then they got a quarterback that's prone to turn over the ball multiple times in the game. So that's why the Titans actually might be a sneaky streamable defense for you this week. And that's it for my video this week. One thing I actually forgot to say at the end of my waiver wire and just hit me. I've seen like 3 or 4 teams, more specifically because I got a couple of these kickers on my team from Matt Prater, the Cardinals kicker, and Jake Elliott, the Eagles kicker. And then there's, I think, the Detroit signed one. So those 2 teams, Detroit signed one. I want to say there's another team that has signed a kicker over the last 2 days on their practice squad because those kickers are banged up and they might not be able to play on Sunday. So what I'm just saying, guys, is I know the kicker position can be very forgetful. I would actually make sure you look at your kicker's health status as you get to the weekend, and if they're questionable heading into Sunday, probably monitor that in case you got to pick up a different kicker before those games get started and you're locked in with a guy that gets ruled out. So I would look into that situation, especially if you have Matt Prater or Jake Elliott. Again, I know people may not show kickers love, so if you don't know your kicker's name, Matt Prater is the Cardinals kicker, Jake Elliott is the Eagles kicker. Those guys are some of the best fantasy kickers out there. So I know they're definitely on some teams. They're on my teams across the board. So yeah, with that being said, if you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button as always. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with all my content. You can get it right when it gets posted. You don't have to wait for me to post on one of my social media platforms to know that there's a piece of content that I just got uploaded. Other than that, guys, as always, if you have any questions, hit up my comment section, slide into my DMs on any of my socials, shoot me a text if you got my number, and I'm gladly to help you out with it, give you any answers that I can. Any questions that you have. I'm gonna head out of here. You guys will see my next video with the starts and sits. That will come out on time this week. Thankfully, don't have to worry about a hurricane. I do feel bad for everybody down in Fort Myers, but that will come out on Thursday morning, just like it normally has. So I'm gonna get out of here. You guys enjoy your night.